Hello everyone, welcome to Vajiram and Ravi's Terms in News. Today we will be covering some important terms and concepts which have been in news in the past few weeks. Now beginning with the first term that we are going to talk about today is valley fever. Now valley fever has been in news because we are saying that changing weather is leading to fungal storms which is responsible for spread of valley fever. Now when we talk about this specific case surge, this is concentrated in southwest of US. Now if you want to understand that what exactly is valley fever, it is basically a fungal infection which is caused by coccidioids fungus. Now when we are talking about valley fever, it is also known by the name of this very fungus as the coccidioid mycosis. So we get to see it is nothing but a fungal infection which is caused. Now this fungus specifically lives in certain areas which have dry soil and desert region. Now if you see, the regions which are prone to valley fever are the ones in US with dry soil and also desert like condition. And in this case, the infection occurs when the fungal spores which are present, they are carried by dust and people inhale them. Please note an important point, the spread of this fungal infection is not possible from person to person. It can only happen when the fungal spore enters a person through dust storms. So in this case, because this region supports the presence of this fungus, has the ideal condition where the fungus can live, these areas are where this particular fungus is endemic. So the high prone areas are southwestern United States and certain arid regions of Latin America. So when you see this map of USA, and if we extend it beyond, we have extension of South America where you cross Mexico and enter Latin America. So the spread is present there as well. It is directly linked to climate where there is presence of dust storms and droughts, because that is where the spread of fungal spore increases. I hope you have a clarity on what exactly is valley fever. You will be able to understand and address questions related to it. I am leaving you here with a prelims practice question on this very topic. Let me know the answer in comment section. Now moving to the next term that we are covering today, the term here is MERCOSUR. Now when we talk about MERCOSUR, we clearly get to see it is the name of Southern Common Market, and it has been in news because European Union trade deal is being signed with this particular bloc. Now when we are talking about MERCOSUR, we clearly get to see that it is nothing but American name of Southern Common Market. What is this? This is a regional trade bloc which is present across the South American continent. It was formed in 1991 through the Treaty of Aspirants. Now the main members present here are South American giants such as Brazil, Argentina, Prague and Uruguay, and then we have associated members across the South America, and we have also other observer members, and then there is one suspended member which is also present. Now when we are talking about this very trade bloc, we also have to understand that the whole purpose of this bloc was to promote free trade in this continent. You can compare it with North American continents, the trade agreements they have there with major countries. If you could name the major trade agreement which is present between US, Canada and Mexico, it facilitates the movement of goods and most importantly, regional economic integration. Now from the perspective of our country, we get to see that India and MERCOSUR have been strategic partners since 2004, and they have a proper preferential trade agreement since this very year. Apart from that, what we get to see that when we are talking about India and MERCOSUR, they are the ones who have had preferential trade agreement which has been existing for last 22 years. This has been operationalized since 2004 itself. I hope you have a fair clarity on this term as well, and I'll be leaving you here with another prelims practice question for this particular term. Now I'll be moving towards the next term that we are covering today, that is Fjord. Now when we talk about Fjord, the reason it has been in news because what we have seen, a massive 500-meter mega tsunami has hit an Alaskan fjord. And there we get to see that this has happened because a part of mountain has collapsed. So to understand this news better, first we have to make clarity on this particular term. Let us try to understand this first. Now when we are talking about fjord, fjord is nothing but just a deep, narrow and long sea inlet. So in this context, what we are establishing is that we have a region where sea is coming towards the surface, and that inlet is narrow, long, and most importantly, it is not a river inlet, it is a sea inlet. So salty water is coming. But where does the formation of fjord takes place? It takes place where glaciers are present, and once glacial erosion takes place, that is when fjord will be formed. Now to understand this better, let us look at this given diagram. So you can clearly see we have a glacial valley present. The characteristic shape of a glacial valley has always been U-shaped. They are also known by the name U-shaped valley. Now when we see the movement of glacier, it is in this direction. We gradually get to see that the erosion keeps happening, which is responsible for the formation of hanging valleys, because glacier movement is happening in all these directions as well, and then later here. So this glacial erosion is leading to this inlet being formed, right? Once this inlet is deep enough, we get to see movement of sea water or ocean water inside. Now where this will take place? This will take place where mountains are located close to sea or on the coast of the sea, which is possible only in colder temperatures or polar temperatures. So the whole formation process is glaciers will make U-shaped valley, glaciers will gradually melt, and sea water will come and flood the valley. Now when we are talking about fjords, they are peculiarly present in regions which have colder climates. For example, Norway, then we have Greenland, New Zealand, and also China, where we get to see mountains and sea lying close to each other. In this situation, there are certain characteristics also noticed, such as steep cliffs will be present, deep waters would be present, and the ecosystem would be not just cold but also marine. So if these situations, there is possibility of formation of fjords. Now I hope you are able to understand the news that we started with, that once mega tsunami was caused, a massive 500 meter that has hit the Alaska fjord, and this has happened after the mountain collapsing. Now I hope we are clear with this. Now leaving you here with a prelims practice question. Let me know the answer in the comment section. Now shall we move to the next term? The next term that we are doing today is rainbow clouds. Now rainbow clouds have been in news because they have been sighted in Indonesia, and this is a rare phenomena which has made it to the news. Now when we are talking about rainbow clouds, we get to see, as you can see the image, the clouds are of multiple colors, and scientifically this phenomena is called as cloud iridescence. Now this will happen when the sunlight is diffracted because of the presence of cloud. Why it is being diffracted? Because there are tiny water droplets which are present here, which are present in the cloud itself. So this is leading to the diffraction which is being caused, and that is why the multiple colors. Now you cannot compare rainbow clouds with rainbow. Rainbow happens when there is presence of sunlight, where there is presence of water, but the process that takes place there is refraction. The process that is taking place here is diffraction. Now the fundamental difference between refraction and diffraction is the only fact. In both, yes, we get to see bending of waves and changing of the direction, but in refraction it is because the movement of waves is from one medium to another, something that we see in prism. But when we are talking about diffraction, it is usually because there is a small outlet or there is bending at the end of it. So the only thing that changes here is how the waves are being bent. Now when we are talking about presence of rainbow clouds, what we get to see, there are certain conditions required. That the clouds should be present, but they should be thin. They should be uniformly sized droplets. If the droplets which are present are of different size, then this will not this phenomena will not take place, and the sun has to be positioned at certain angle so that this phenomena, diffraction, the bending of waves is created, and then we get to see this. Now, when we are looking at this, I have already differentiated how it differs from a rainbow. Another thing that you understand, this can happen only with specific types of clouds, such as cirrus, such as altocumulus and lenticular clouds, all of them being extremely thin or spikes like, if they are present just like this, they are not very thick. That is the only situation you will ensure that there is a possibility of presence of rainbow clouds. On this note, I will be leaving you here with the prelims practice question. Let me know the answer in the comment section. Shall we move to the next term that we are covering today? That would be the last term for the day. The last term that we are doing today is NOTAM. Now, when we are talking about NOTAM, NOTAM has been in news because FAA, that is the Federal Agency of Airport Administration of US, they are revamping NOTAM. Now, what do we mean by NOTAM? NOTAM is basically notice to air missions. Before this, it was notice to airmen. So, as the name itself suggests, that this is basically a tool, a message, a notice that gives the real-time aviation safety information. So, all the information such as runway closures, if any, if there is a navigation failure, if there is airspace restriction. For example, India is conducting a Air Force exercise. So, they have to send NOTAM if it is happening close to somebody else's airspace. Military security, weather hazards, all of this information is given usually through NOTAM itself. In India, it is issued by Airport Authorities of India, that is AAI. Across the world, it is given by aviation authorities, or if there are different air traffic agencies. This is something very important for the movement of aircrafts. This is a critical information for pilots, flight planners, and also the ATC, that is air traffic control, that exists. Now, on this note, I will be leaving you with the last question for the day. Please let me know the answer in the comment section. I hope you have a fair clarity on the terms that we have discussed. That was all from my side. Thank you so much.